This is Plant-Based Briefing. Blame pork and beef, not lettuce, for America's crappy E. coli problem, by Charlotte Pointing at VegNews.com. And I'm Marian Erickson. This is the Plant-Based podcast where I curate a variety of articles on plant-based and vegan living, get permission, and narrate them to you here in about 10 minutes or less every weekday. And I was reading a VegNews article yesterday, and this one was suggested at the bottom. And this is a topic I find very interesting and that people seem to misunderstand. So I'm happy to share this one with you now. And now let's get to today's plant-based briefing. Blame pork and beef, not lettuce, for America's crappy E. coli problem, by Charlotte Pointing at VegNews.com. E. coli infections are on the rise. While lettuce often gets the blame, the real problem often starts with livestock, runoff, and a food system that's failing to protect consumers. E. coli infections are nasty, sometimes dangerously so. Not all strains are harmful, but some types of the food-borne bacteria are known for causing everything from miserable bouts of diarrhea and vomiting to life-threatening kidney damage. That's why it's deeply alarming that E. coli infections are on the rise. And the likely culprit? The meat industry, whose practices continue to fuel the spread of this harmful bacteria. The danger of rising E. coli cases. New data from the UK Health Security Agency shows a sharp rise in E. coli infections, with cases in England jumping 26% in the past year, from 2018 in 2023 to 2,544 in 2024. One of the most alarming sources of infection this year? Contaminated salad leaves, which hospitalized 126 people and caused 2 deaths. The culprit was a particularly dangerous strain known as Shiga toxin-producing E. coli, or STEC, notorious for causing severe digestive symptoms and, in some cases, life-threatening complications. The issue isn't limited to the UK. In 2024, a major E. coli outbreak, linked to romaine lettuce spread across 15 U.S. states. That same year, contaminated onions in McDonald's quarter-pound burgers sickened 75 people and led to 1 death. It is important for people to take steps to prevent infection, said parasitologist Gauri Godbole, MBBS, MD, MRCP, FRC Path. Rarely, STEC can progress to cause kidney failure and life-threatening illness, particularly in young children and the elderly. There's also growing scientific interest in another E. coli strain, this one potentially linked to colon cancer. Colobactin-producing E. coli, unlike STEC, doesn't cause immediate illness, but produces a toxin that may damage DNA in gut cells. Researchers are exploring whether this genotoxic effect might play a role in rising rates of early-onset colorectal cancer. Many early-onset colorectal cancer patients appear to have been exposed to a toxin called colobactin, produced by some strains of the bacteria E. coli in early life, said David Scott, Ph.D., the Director of Cancer Grand Challenges at Cancer Research UK. It's unclear how the exposure originates, but we suspect that a combination of factors, including diet, may intersect during a crucial phase in the development of the gut microbiome. While research into colobactin is still ongoing, the more immediate health risks come from STEC, which continues to drive urgent recalls and hospitalizations. How is E. coli getting into the food system? E. coli lives in the intestines, not just of humans, but of animals too. STEC in particular is commonly carried by farm animals, which is how the bacteria often end up in meat products. But meat isn't the only concern. STEC is also a frequent culprit in vegetable contamination. That's because produce is often grown near livestock. Runoff from farms, often contaminated with animal waste, can seep into the soil where crops like lettuce and onions are growing, and this runoff can carry E. coli with it. It's not just E. coli either. Vegetables can also be contaminated with other strains of foodborne bacteria like salmonella due to runoff from farms. If you have any STEC symptoms like mild to bloody diarrhea, stomach cramps, vomiting, and dehydration, wash your hands with soap and warm water and use bleach-based products to clean surfaces, advises Godbole. Don't prepare food for others if you have symptoms or for 48 hours after symptoms stop. Contamination can also happen through human handling. If farmers, food processors, or chefs don't properly wash their hands after handling raw meat or animal products, bacteria can easily spread to fresh foods. The best way to reduce the chance of getting sick from STEC or any other foodborne bacteria infection is to frequently wash your hands with warm soapy water when you're preparing food. You just listened to Blame Pork and Beef, Not Lettuce, for America's Crappy E. coli Problem by Charlotte Pointing at VegNews.com. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson. This really does suck for plant-based people who want to avoid harming animals and want to eat in a healthy way. And people who eat animals can cause themselves and us to get sick because their lifestyle choices harm plant foods. Even organic farms, if they happen to be downstream, downhill, groundwater, any issues from animal farming can affect organic farms too. And E. coli is really no laughing matter. I used to think food poisoning was like a one-day thing. And yeah, you're throwing up and it's just everything's coming out for a day or so, but that's it. When our daughter was about 8 years old, she was sick for a couple of weeks straight and was not getting better. The doctor couldn't figure out what it was, finally requested a stool sample that was sent into the lab, and then we got a call from the public health department because it turned out she had E. coli. They asked us for everything she had eaten for 2 weeks prior to her first symptoms, and that surprised me because I thought it was a 24-hour prior thing. But no, it was very difficult to try to figure that out, and they could not find the source of it because there weren't any other cases that had come up where we ate the same things or ate at the same places. So still a mystery, but just another example of how exploiting animals and farming them for their flesh and their secretions is not only just very, very wrong, but also harms us. So please share this episode with anyone who might benefit, and thanks for listening.